of eating in Islam was? Who remembers? Yes. Start your meal with salt and end your meal with just a little salt. We talked about that last week. And number three was, who remembers? Yes. It is recommended to eat with your hands, and specifically three fingers. And we said, obviously, if you washed your hands before that, then it would make sense. So these are three etiquettes that we already discussed. Let's go to number four. The fourth etiquette of eating food in Islam that we are taught by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it is recommended to prolong your meal time. The time that you spend eating your meal, it's recommended to prolong it. So, in Islam, there isn't really the concept of fast food. Islam says slow food is a lot better for you. And that's specifically when you're eating food. Listen to this hadith from Al-Imam al-Sadiq. The Imam is narrated saying, أطيل الجلوس على الموائد. When you eat, when you sit down to have a meal, don't eat too fast. No, eat slowly. Prolong your meal time. Why? He says, فَإِنَّهَا سَاعَةٌ لَا تُحْسَبُ مِنْ أَعْمَارِكُمْ. For it is an hour that will not be counted from your life. Now, what does that mean? When you sit down to have a meal, don't rush. Take your time. The clock isn't ticking. Now, this has two meanings. One of two possible meanings. The hadith of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. The first meaning is that the Imam actually means it won't be counted. Every single one of us, brothers and sisters, when we're born, God writes for us a certain amount of years to live, months, days, hours, right? So you've only been given a limited amount of time to live. Every hour that passes by, you just lost 1 hour. And you're 1 hour closer to your life ending. That's why don't waste time, because you're not given unlimited time in this dunya. Don't waste any time. So based on this notion that every person has been given a certain amount of time to live in this life, Al-Imam al-Sadiq is saying here, there are some exceptions. There are some hours of your life where they're not counted. Meaning that whatever God gave you, let's say God gave you, 50,000 hours to live, 100,000 hours, your meal time is not included. So don't rush. Why do you rush? It's not going to be counted against you. It's not going to be taken away from the overall time that God has given you. And we have certain ahadith that indicate it's not just your meal time. For example, we have a hadith that says whoever visits Al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, if you visit Al-Imam al-Hussein, the time that you spend in Karbala will not be counted from your life. So let's say Allah Azza wa Jal has given you 10,000 days to live, and I spend a week. That week will be in addition to what Allah has already written for you. That's if you go for ziyarah. So don't try to be clever and go live in Karbala and you'll think you'll be immortal. Only if you go for ziyarah. So some people, they feel like they don't have time. I have to go quickly. Well, with the ziyarah of Imam al-Hussein, time doesn't even count. Allah will just add whatever days that you spent there will add. So this is kind of the same meaning. So this is the first meaning of the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq, where he says, eat slowly, take your time when you're eating. Like this beautiful gentleman here. He's been eating since what time? I'm sorry, I don't want to pick on you. But that's a good thing, right? Because the Imam recommends that. So That's the first meaning. The second meaning is to translate the hadith of the Imam not by stating the word count. You see, the first way that we interpreted was the Imam was saying that don't eat too fast because your mealtime won't count from your life. It's extra. The second meaning is it won't be it won't be accounted for. What's the difference between count and account? So years will not be added, days, hours will not be added. However, that hour or half an hour, whatever you spend eating a meal, Allah will not hold you accountable for. So wait a minute. That means any sin I commit while I'm eating my meal, God won't hold me accountable for? No. So what are we talking about? The hadith of Imam Ali says, he told this to his daughter Kulthum, and that was the day in which he was struck by Ibn Muljam, the 19th of Ramadan. And we have other traditions from the Prophet and other Imams that state the same thing. That this dunya, brothers and sisters, Allah Azza wa Jal records everything we do, right? Why? If you do something that's not haram, that's not a sin, nor is it a good deed. You're walking, you're sleeping, you're just chatting. It's not haram, right? Everything you do, it's recorded. The Quran says, "Ma yalfidhu min qawl." Every word you say, every word you say. If you're humming, if you're just talking, having a conversation about a sport, why would God record that? It's not haram, nor it's a good deed. God doesn't do anything for no reason. Imam Ali explains why. He says, "Inna dunya fi halaliha hisab, wa fi haramiha iqab." You see, this dunya, one reason why you don't want to spend too much time in this dunya, unless you are using your time very, very wisely, is because the Imam says your actions will either be halal or haram. If your action is haram, why is Allah recording? There's going to be punishment. But if it's halal, there's no punishment. Halal means it's permissible. So why is God recording it? The Imam says, "Fi hisabiha, fi halaliha hisab." Even the halal, whatever you do that is permitted by Allah, there's accountability. How? Well, I didn't do anything haram. Yes, you won't be punished, but you're going to be asked about it. Why did you sleep so much? Why did you eat so much? Why did you talk so much? Why did you watch too much YouTube? Why did you? Even if it's not haram, Allah is still going to question you, interrogate you, and He wants an answer from you. So the more God gives you, listen carefully, brothers and sisters, the more God gives you in this dunya, the more rizq, whether it's wealth, health, children, anything, the more He gives you, the longer your interrogation will be on the Day of Judgment. And the less He gives you, the less you indulge in the dunya, the faster you will finish the Day of Judgment, because there's not too much to ask about, right? It's like when you go to the airport. When they see you have like 6 bags, coming back from the Middle East, they're going to most likely tell you, go in that slow line. We want to check every single bag. But imagine you come just with a backpack, right? And what are they going to check? Just some basic clothing, right? So you're going to finish way quicker. If you're being interrogated, you don't want too much stuff. Now, are they punishing you? No, they just want to check everything. But if you have 3, 4, 5 bags, it's going to take much longer. And the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, by the way, have spoken about this many times. They give us on the example, subhanAllah, of a tax collector. Because even back then, there was a tax collector. And usually they would focus their resources and their interrogations on who? on the wealthy, right? Just like the IRS, supposedly, that's what they're supposed to do today. It was mostly on the ships. They would go in the ports because people would go on those trips and they would bring goods. So if they see a boat that's filled with goods, right? That boat is probably gonna have to spend a day or two just being checked. Versus a small boat comes with barely anything in it. 10, 15, 20 minutes and they'll be out of there. Right? Because what are they gonna check? So the Imams tell us Allah Azza wa Jal on the Day of Judgment, when He wants to ask me about my life, He gave me so much good things. What did I do with it? Did I thank Him for it? Did I spend it in a good way? Even if I never spent it in haram, He's going to ask me about it. But if Allah gives everyone a lot. But if He gave you less than other people, it makes sense for Allah Azza wa Jal to what? To make your interrogation session much quicker. That same hadith that I mentioned of Kulthum, the daughter of Imam Ali, the 19th of Ramadan, the last meal that Imam had before he was struck with the sword. He had his iftar in the house of his daughter Kulthum. Kulthum says, I brought the iftar of my father Amir al-Mu'mineen. What was his iftar? She says, I put bread, and it's not like the soft bread that we eat. It was the stale bread. Bread, and then milk and salt. That's it. That was the food of Imam Ali. Why? Kulthum wasn't generous. She didn't like to cook all these beautiful dishes for her father. No, obviously not, because she knew Imam Ali would not eat anything more than that. Even that, the Imam objected. When he saw bread, milk, and salt, he looked at it. He told his daughter. He was upset. He told her, my dear daughter, do you not know that I do not eat two types of food in one meal? Two types of food? What are you talking about? Two types of food to us is like chicken and beef, right? What is the Imam talking about? The Imam considered salt one type and what? Bread the other type, or milk the other type. He said, I can't eat all this stuff. I have to choose only one. Probably it was salt versus bread. So he told her, my dear daughter, you know that I do not eat two types of food in one meal. So please lift one of them. And he only ended up eating, I think it was bread and salt, or maybe bread and milk. So he only had one of the two foods. And then he gave her the reason why. It's not haram. You can eat 70 types of food if they're all halal, right? If your money is halal, if the meat is halal, that's fine. But listen to what the Imam said. He told her, my dear daughter, أتريدين أن يطول أو أن يطول وقوفي بين يدي الله عز وجل يوم القيامة. He says, do you want to delay my day of judgment tomorrow? The more I eat, the more I'll be questioned. I don't want to be questioned on the day. I want to pass by like lightning on the day of judgment. And then he said, من طاب مطعمه ومشربه وملبسه. The one who indulges in the dunya. The halal dunya, not the haram. What's going to happen? طال وقوفه. Nothing. There should be no fear. Allah is just. But he said, you will be delayed a little more because God is going to ask you. So for example, let's say yesterday I had steak for dinner. Bil'afiyah sahtain, it was halal. Allah will not obviously punish me. He permitted it. But Allah Azza wa Jal will ask me about that meal. He will ask you, how did you buy that steak? With what money? With what money? And number two, how much did you pay for it? Was it a normal steak or was it one of those expensive Wagyu? Is that what it's called? I've heard one piece of steak is like 500 bucks, right? Or was it Wagyu steak? And then Allah will ask you, when you eat, how much did you eat? Did you eat half a pound, 1 pound, a pound and a half? Now, why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal then will ask you, did you thank me after you ate that meal? Was your thank that you sent to me in line with the meal? I mean, if you have a $500 Wagyu steak versus you just have a salad for lunch or dinner, right? The thank you that you tell Allah should be the same. After a salad, just a normal thank you. After that Wagyu steak, how many times you have to say thank you to Allah? Hmm? Well, it's not really about the number of times, but you have to be more appreciative because God gave you much more. So He's going to ask you that I gave you this good, al-afiyah, sahtan, but did you remember to thank me? Allah will tell you, okay, sahtan, you had this beautiful steak, but how much did you spend helping others? Just your meal was $80, $90. And then when you give for me, for Allah, for other people, you give pocket change. So remember, Allah Azza wa Jal says, enjoy the dunya. But the more you enjoy from the dunya, the more He's going to expect from you. Don't be just a selfish human being indulging in the dunya. Indulge while you give. This is a beautiful strategy. So see, Islam is not against indulging in the halal dunya. Indulge as long as what? As long as you're not just being a selfish being, just thinking about me. When you're eating a $70, $80, $90 steak, don't take out the $5 bill and give it fi sabilillah. Don't be cheap with Allah and so generous with your stomach. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask you about everything that has to do with your meal. The more you indulge, the more Allah is going to ask you. Now, is this clear? Let's go back to the hadith of the Imam. The Imam says, do not rush when you eat. Take your time, for you will not be held accountable for that time that you spend eating. The Imam is making an exception. He's saying that everything about your meal, you'll be questioned. So, it is better not to indulge too much. Take just what you need. However, the time that you spend eating whatever you're eating, God will not ask you about that. Whether it took you 5 minutes or it took you an hour to eat that steak. He's not going to ask you about the time. In fact, the Imam says, no, take more time in eating that food. So this is the second meaning of the hadith. Remember, the first meaning is it won't be counted from your life. The second meaning is no, Allah won't question you about how much time. Yes, He's going to ask you, how much did you eat? How much did you buy it for? Where did you get the money? But how long? No, He's not going to ask you. So the Imam says, take advantage of that. You're not going to be questioned. Have a 1 hour meal and enjoy it. Now, the question that many of you may be thinking, why? Why does Islam recommend, according to this tradition, to prolong your meal? Don't rush. One reason is because eating slowly, my friends, eating slowly has many benefits for us. And unfortunately, today, the way that we live our lives, everything's just fast-paced. Most of us are probably, especially Monday to Friday, we are fast eaters. Fast food, fast eating, microwave food. A lot of people have their meal while they're standing, while they're driving, because we just have so much to do. We don't have that much time to eat food. And eating slowly, my dear brothers and sisters, has so many benefits for your health, and not just for your health, for the quality of your life. You enjoy life much more when you eat slowly, and it's very healthy for you. Let me explain. First, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What are the benefits of eating slowly? Now, I'm gonna here because I think I can group this with the next etiquette. So I'll mention this together. The next etiquette that I wanted to discuss was this, that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt tell us one of the etiquettes of eating is that number one, make sure you chew your food well. Make sure you chew your food very well. And number two, try to make your bites smaller. The morsels, make them smaller versus large bites where you need like 2, 3 minutes just to break that down and devour it. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has been narrated telling Imam Ali alayhi salam, وَأَمَّا الْأَدَبِ, the etiquette of eating, he said this, فَتَصْغِيرُ اللُّقْمَةِ, make your bite smaller, وَالْمَضْغُ الشَّدِيدِ, and chew your food very well. In fact, today, scientifically, it's been proven how healthy and beneficial just chewing your food more. It's very beneficial, and even they give you a number. Any of you has ever Googled this? What is it? Very close. The magic number is 32. Just Google it. Why 32? I have no idea. But the point is, chew it a lot. Chew it until like kind of you feel tired by it. So many health benefits just from chewing your food very well and making your bites smaller, because remember, the smaller the bite, the easier it is to chew it very well. Now let's go back to the previous etiquette, eat your food slowly. Why? One reason could be, brothers and sisters, is because of all the health benefits of eating your food slowly. Eat your food slowly, chew well, and make your bite smaller. You know how much that helps you? Unbelievable, brothers. I was surprised when I was doing research on this. Just the way in which you eat, not what you eat, the way in which you eat has a profound effect on every part of your life. First of all, when you eat slowly and you chew your food well, this helps your digestion, right? Because remember, your stomach has to break up all that food. So your mouth is supposed to help your stomach before it goes into your stomach, breaking it up very well. So the more you chew, the less work on your stomach. And the less you chew, this has been all proven medically, scientifically, the less you chew your food, you take those bites and you have to gulp that food. The less you chew your food, the more digestive problems it would create. The faster you eat your food, the more digestive problems it can create. Like what? Like bloating. Just try it. Eat the same meal in 10 minutes versus 20 minutes. It has a direct effect on bloating. Diarrhea. One of the causes of diarrhea is what? Is eating too fast and not chewing your food well. I feel like a doctor right now. Sometimes we have to mention this. So please, next Sunday when you come and have your breakfast here, make sure you chew not 32 times, 50 times, right? We want to all be happy together here. So that's number one. Number two, when you chew your food well and you eat slowly, you will absorb more nutrients and energy from the food, subhanAllah. It's the same food, it's going in your body, just the way in which you eat it and how many times you chew it will have an effect on how much you benefit from all those vitamins and all those nutrients in that food. So eat slowly, chew it well. Number three, chewing your food well is good for your teeth. Number four, eating slowly and chewing your food well helps you in losing weight. And the reason is because When you eat slowly and you chew your food very well, which is going to take some time, you will feel full. You will feel full by eating less food. Because what's the point of eating? Why do we eat? We eat to feel, satisfied, full. The slower you eat, the less food you need to make you feel satisfied. Not full, right? But satisfied. Do you know why this is? Ahsan, the 20-minute rule. Unfortunately, our brain and our stomach don't communicate too fast. They're still using DSL dial-up. Because when you eat something, right? I just took a piece of bite from this pizza, from this bread. Now you're eating it, you're chewing it, you swallow. Your brain has to tell your stomach that, you know what, I'm full, or I ate this much. But the brain doesn't do it too fast. And this has been designed by Allah intentionally. Allah could have done it in 1 second. Takes how long until the brain, when the brain sends the message, until the stomach gets it? It takes how many minutes? 20 minutes. Now, if you eat fast, right? Maybe after the 7th bite, you're full. But your stomach doesn't know. It needs 20 minutes. So you spend those 20 minutes eating more. That's why, oh man, I ate way too much. Why? Because you're eating too fast. You didn't give enough time for your stomach to understand that I hadn't. That's why if you've tried this, sometimes you're eating your meal, you've ate half of what you wanted to eat, and then someone calls you or someone knocks the door. You have to go 5-10 minutes. When you come back, you're not that hungry anymore. Have you seen that? A lot of people, they're upset. It's like, this guy ruined my meal. No, he didn't ruin your meal. This guy, in fact, you should thank him because he gave you those 20 minutes so that your brain can register that properly to your stomach. So you were really full, but your stomach didn't know it yet. Right? Is it your stomach sending to your brain or your brain sending to your stomach? Which one is it? Who cares, right? Doesn't matter. The point is, the slower you eat, the faster you will, not the faster, but you will feel full with eating less food. And, I was reading about some studies that have been done by universities. Sayyid Imad, pay attention to this. This will help you. Studies done by universities. Listen, this is real. That tell you, one of the easiest ways to lose weight is what? No.
Keep your mouth shut.
No. Well, yes, for other reasons, not for this reason. One of the easiest ways to lose weight is just to eat slowly. There's been many studies that have been done that tell us just by eating slower, don't change the food, don't change how much you eat or what you eat. Aslan, don't even exercise. Just make one simple change in your diet, in your meal. Instead of taking 15 minutes to eat that meal, take 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You will consume much less calories and you will lose weight. And in some studies, people lost up to 20 pounds a year just by slowing down. They didn't do anything else. They didn't go to the gym. They didn't start eating healthy foods or they ate less. Well, you might eat less because you'll feel full with eating less. But that's really the only adjustment that you have to do. Just eat slowly. Let me read you. This was a very interesting study that the University of Rhode Island conducted. The study says some researchers, they got together. They gathered 30 women. They're all similar in their health and their age. And it even said they were all normal weight women, 30 of them. And they asked them to come a couple of times. to the research center, and their task was very easy. What? They would just give them a meal. The meal was a pasta, plate of pasta. So they told them to eat. Just eat without any instructions. They ate their meal and they left. A couple of days later, they called them again. Come and eat, but this time we want you to eat very fast. In fact, I think it even says how many minutes they gave them. They told them just eat until you feel comfortable, you're satisfied. So they told them to eat as fastly as possible the second time. The same meal, but eat it as quick as possible. And then a couple of days later, they invited them a third time. Same exact plate. They told them, now eat it very slowly. Take your time. And then they counted how many calories they would intake each time. So they realized that when these women would eat quickly, they consumed on average 64,000 calories. Does that sound right? No, sorry, 646 calories, right? 646. Who put those zeros there? Said Ahmad? Anyway, 646 calories. But in how many minutes on average they finished that whole plate of, like, the full meal? 9 minutes. Because they were trying to eat pretty fast. Now, this is with all women. With men, it'd probably be like 3 minutes. But then, when they were told to eat slowly, it took them on average 29 minutes. So they just added 20 minutes. Do you know how many calories they ended up eating and taking? 579. So 20% less calorie intake. And in both cases, they felt the exact same satisfaction. They felt full in the exact same way. So it was saying 67 calories within 20 minutes. Multiply that by 3 meals. That's over 200 calories less. Just by what? Eating slowly. And then some people, they're on their treadmills and they're running for like 10 miles. And yes, 200 calories I burned after they ran 10 miles, right? What are you doing here? You're just slowing down your food. And subhanAllah, it said even after that, in the retreat, no, not retreat, in the study, it said that when the woman ate their lunch quickly, 9 minutes, they reported more hunger an hour later than when they ate it slower. So when you eat your food fast, not only are you going to eat more food, not only is that more calories, not only is that going to lead to obesity, weight problems, but then just an hour later, you're more hungry than if you had eaten it slowly. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why after 1 hour, when it's the same food, Asan, they ate more. They ate more within those 9 minutes than they ate within the 20 minutes. But after an hour, they were more hungry when they ate more. Why? I don't know. Ask your doctor. But the point is, this is what the study proved. And subhanAllah, finally, brothers and sisters, these women all reported that when they ate their food slowly, they were much more satisfied, meaning they enjoyed their meal much more than when they ate it fast. And the reason behind that, brothers and sisters, is when you eat your food too fast, sometimes you won't even have time to taste it, to feel the texture and the contour. And you've seen those people that do the reviews of food. There's a hint of I feel like salt and cardamom and all that. Like, what the heck is the guy saying, right? Because they take their time to actually taste the food. Versus when you eat too fast, you don't even know what you had. You don't enjoy it. Sometimes, really, when I'm big time in a rush and I'm eating some good food, I don't even enjoy it. I don't even remember When did I even eat this food? Versus when you eat it slowly, you don't have too many things after you enjoy it much more. So if you eat, subhanallah, look, let's say you have 10 minutes to eat. You eat two slices of pizza in those 10 minutes, and you ate double the food, and you got satisfied. But imagine if you slow down and you eat one slice, just an example, one slice of pizza in 10 minutes. You still got the same pleasure because you were eating good food for 10 minutes. But what? At the cost of eating an extra slice. So you ate less, you enjoyed it more because you weren't just rushing, and you got the same pleasure. Because for 10 minutes, your mouth was tasting that beautiful pizza. So all of this, brothers and sisters, shows you that just eating, changing our habits sometimes, just eating slowly, making your bite smaller, and chewing your food more is so beneficial for us because it will ultimately lead to you eating less food and enjoying your food more. And remember, one of the biggest problems that we human beings have is overeating. Most of the diseases and sicknesses that we face is because of overeating. It's because either we're not eating healthy food or we're eating too much. And not just physically, mentally, it's bad for you. And even, spiritually. One of the worst things that you can do to your spirit, not just your body, is if you overeat. You just kill your spirit. Have you ever tried to pray after a very large meal? It's very hard. Have you tried to read dua after a large meal? It's very hard. You just can't connect. You can't. It's difficult. That's why the tradition of the Imam says the closest you are to Allah, He knows when? When your stomach is empty. Because it's as if there is no barrier between you and Allah. When your stomach is full, it's very hard for you to connect with Allah Azza wa Jal. Because this food is like a rock, like a burden on your stomach. Right? That's why, subhanAllah, me in the month of Ramadan, I hate eating my iftar before praying. I know many of us, we're waiting as soon as it is 8:01 and 23 seconds before the alif of Allahu Akbar of the adhan, we're devouring that food, right? And I know I'm hungry, I'd like to do that, but then salah becomes a huge burden upon me. Because with all that food, how am I going to stand up and pray? It's physical and spiritual. You pray before iftar? No, sorry, you can't pray before maghrib. That doesn't work. So that's why I would rather, even though I'm hungry and I'll enjoy my food later, but then after that, salah will be dreadful for me. Literally. Just can't pray anymore. Because you could feel that weight, not just physically, spiritually on you. So, brothers and sisters, Islam says, follow these basic etiquettes. Now, some of these have also become, right now, either common sense or science has discovered it. But imagine 1400 years ago, Rasulullah tells Imam Ali, Ya Ali, chew your food well. Ya Ali, make your bite smaller. Imam Sadiq says, eat slowly. Don't worry about the time. Allah won't hold you accountable for that. Allah won't count it from your life. You think people understood how the digestive system worked and it takes your brain 20 minutes to send that? Now it's making more sense. And just like now it's making sense, there's many other laws that you see in Islam, etiquettes that may not make sense now, but in 100 years, in 1,000 years, God knows what science will discover, brothers and sisters. Trust Allah Azza wa Jal. He loves us more than anything. And when He's giving us these etiquettes, He wants us to live the most decent, beautiful life. A life that is healthy for your body, your mind, and your spirit. Allah doesn't want to complicate your lives. If it's not necessary, He's not going to ask you to do it. But He knows what's good for you. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us these teachings. The last of the etiquettes that I want to speak about, but I'm out of time, was reciting Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before you begin your meal, begin with the name of Allah. And when you end also with the name of Allah, saying Alhamdulillah, praise Allah, Shukran lillah. Now, we know this in general, but I wanted to tell you some of the details of how to do that and some of the benefits of that. Inshallah, that will come next week. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless you all, accept your a'mal, and inshallah grants us all the knowledge and the wisdom to apply and implement all these beautiful teachings of Ahlul Bayt. I can take one question if there is. Please try to make it a yes or no question because those are the easiest questions. No, I'm joking. If you have any question, if not, then I'll end inshallah my lecture. Any questions? Yes? No? Yes, sister.
So when I'm thinking about, like you made the point of food and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives you more, right, there's a certain mindset that you have to have, right, being more thankful for
Exactly.
what you have. And I think
The more He gives you, the more the responsibility.
so as I was listening to you speaking, I was thinking about the spectrum of the Anbiya, right? We see Nabi Isa alayhi salam lived a very humble life. Bed was straw, his
Yes.
food was stale bread and water. You read all these ahadith about how he lived this very non-materialistic life, but then you have Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, who was given a great deal of wealth. He probably had every kind of food
Power,
wanted
wealth,
in
yes.
existence. So
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think after listening to your lecture, what I believe it is it's not that we cannot have, the best foods or the best homes, but it's the gratitude
Exactly.
mindset.
Exactly.
Nabi Sulaiman, I imagine, even though he had all of this, he spent more time in
Exactly.
gratitude, and so that was his test.
100%.
From Allah, right?
100%.
So is that
Yes. So there's nothing wrong with having more of the dunya, the halal, as long as it's halal and indulging and enjoying. But the more you enjoy, the more God gives you, the more He will expect from you. So if Allah Azza wa Jal gives you a lot of wealth and children and a healthy life, He's going to expect a lot of good deeds from you. Because He's like, I gave you so much. What did you give back? Versus someone who lived a life of poverty and sickness. Allah is not going to ask him anything. What is He going to ask him about? He lived a miserable life.
I think it's easy when you have a lot of material to get comfortable with that,
Exactly.
and then you don't want to do as much work
Exactly.
to help others 'cause
Exactly.
you're
100%.
comfortable, right?
100%.
So the gratitude mindset is, let me take everything Allah gave me and now take my privileged life and use it as leverage to
100%.
more.
And the best way, by the way, brothers and sisters, when we say gratitude and thanks, not just shukran lillah, it's through action. Share the ni'am of Allah with other people. Our traditions tell us that one way to ease your day of judgment, to make it faster, let's say Allah gave you so much wealth. You don't want to be questioned for years and years and months and months. What do? God says the more you help other people, the more you give fi sabilillah, the more it will offset whatever you spend on yourself. And let's say I ate $100 steak today, but then I donated $100. Allah's not even going to ask you about that steak. So the lesson isn't to what? Go live in a cave and don't work. No, 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 no. Enjoy the dunya, but don't be selfish. Help other people. Give fi sabilillah. If you do that, you get the best of both worlds. You live a nice life here, comfortable, and on the day of judgment, you will rush through everything because Allah Azza wa Jal knows you indulge, but at the same time, you thought of others. And that, I think, is a beautiful way to connect to my ending. The annual fundraising dinner, brothers and sisters. I mentioned this last week, and I'm sure we're going to bombard you with it every week. Forgive us. But this is really a very easy way for us to thank Allah Azza wa Jal for all the na'am that He's given us. Enjoy all the good things Allah has given you. Alf sah, not just sahtain, which means two sahhas, right? Alf sahat. But give something to Allah, and Allah just wants the minimum. He doesn't ask you for too much. يا من يعطي الكثير بالقليل. Give him this much, he gives you that much. So if you haven't bought your tickets, brothers and sisters, make sure you go to Hajj Daniel in the back and you buy your tickets and tell your brothers and sisters to buy their tickets. For this is definitely something that will, the least we can say, speed up your day of judgment, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah bless you all, accept your a'mal. Did I miss anything, Hajjah? Announcements? What did I miss? Your birthday? How, how are we going to finish him? Well,